Chapter 5, Episode 9. The Great St. Fleuve Market and Deworming Pills. Walking from tip to tip of the product, Ellen offered a few words of feedback. I can't wait to see how this thing spins. Holding the blueprints entrusted to her by Pharma, Vicomte Melody LaRue squinted at them. She was looking at a large component that could not fit in the workshop, which was made on Pharma's order. She had her apprentices assemble them outdoors and was checking with Pharma to see if they were in accordance with the specifications. Pharma touched it, stroked it, and, at Melody's urging, tapped it with a hammer. Ellen was also asked to do a strength test and hit it with a Jinjutsu ice. Still, Melody's product did not budge. I think they are wonderful, Ellen said. I wasn't sure whether or not I should ask Venerable Melody to do it, but it was the right decision to ask. After visiting Melody's mansion with Ellen, Pharma apologized to Melody, who was busy. Melody's skills are unparalleled when it comes to making products that do not break. After all, the glass she delivered did not break even when dropped, and the metal products did not distort. So we asked her to use glass-reinforced fiber for the material this time. Yes, I was a little perplexed. But if it was a request from Pharma, it was an interesting one, wasn't it? It was interesting, wasn't it? Viscount Melody smiles calmly as she turns a palm-sized windmill model upwind. She has made medical glassware and metal laboratory equipment, but this is the first time she has been commissioned to make such a large metal product. The entire propeller section should be ready for delivery by next week, and we're borrowing apprentices from other workshops. Melody said he has been working on the project at a faster pace than planned. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I rushed you so much. Pharma thanked Melody for her thoughtfulness in prioritizing the order. Of course, we're going to pay you extra for expediting the delivery, she said. I have it ready to be disassembled and transported to Marseille, she said. The foundations will be done by other craftsmen? Yes, we have commissioned each of them. What Pharma had ordered was a large wind turbine needed for wind power generation. First one small one for a prototype. Then, they are having one large one prepared. Generally, a large wind turbine can generate a large amount of power even at low speeds, but even a small wind turbine can be as powerful as a large wind turbine if several wind turbines are set up. It was necessary to build a prototype and check its power generation efficiency. The project was carried out by ordering each part and checking the operation of the completed prototypes through experiments as needed. If you need something larger, please let us know. Yes, this size is sufficient. Come to think of it, wind turbines for wind power generation on the Earth tend to get bigger and bigger. As a result, it was not unusual for wind turbines to exceed 100 meters in length. Pharma had secured a place in the wastelands of Marseille where the wind blows in a certain direction by means of a Shinto ritual. So he thought he should be able to obtain a constant supply of electricity. By the way, why are you trying to set up the windmills at some distance from the factory? Ellen asked. It's a perfectly reasonable question, considering the efficiency of the power transmission, Pharma thought. The noise from the windmills will be too noisy, and we don't want any accidents if the blades fall and hit the factory. Also, the substation could go wrong and short-circuit. And then there are the lightning strikes. Well, that's true. If the blades break, they are very heavy. It would be dangerous. Melody rolls her eyes. Melody rolled her eyes. No, I don't mean that Melody Sama's work will be broken. Ellen followed up, and Pharma continued. Yes, it is. It's just for safety. In fact, there have been accidents on Earth where wind turbines have blown propellers, and Pharma was concerned about the possibility of human casualties. I will be looking forward to working with you on the production of the film. Yes, sir. Pharma and Ellen left Melody's mansion, and since it was lunchtime, they joined Lot and started shopping around the St. Fleuve Grand Market. It's the weekly imperial capital. Extra issue, extra tilde. The energetic voice echoed in the streets of St. Fleuve, where mirages were beginning to appear on the streets in the heat of summer. Citizens were holding the newspaper in their hands and forming a crowd of people. It seemed that the newspaper run by the Mitterrand siblings, which had been well received in the weekly imperial capital, had issued a free extra for the first time since its establishment. With the headline, Admiral Jean was pictured in the article with a large medal on his chest, looking very dignified. It was Elizabeth who officially announced the existence of the new continent that Admiral Jean had discovered to the imperial people. A new continent? How big is a continent? How is it different from an island? What rare minerals might lie in the gold and silver? The dreams of the people of the capital continue to swell. No one has discovered anything like this for hundreds or thousands of years. Why did it suddenly turn up? It says here that it was discovered on a westward voyage. The citizens were impressed as they read the newspapers. I thought if you went west, you would find the end of the world. Also, there's a graveyard of ships. Who came up with that idea? Oops. Not Admiral Jean, that's the great admiral of the St. Fleuve and Company. He can do what no one else has been able to do, and he does it with ease. Among the citizens of the imperial city, Admiral Jean was great. He was in the press, he said. Maybe it's a check on other countries. Ellen also received a copy of the extra issue, and she and Pharma walked along the main street of the imperial capital, reading the newspaper obliquely. The name of the continent was applied for as La Continent Gabon, after the discoverer. Admiral Jean was knighted and made an honorary baron, joining the ranks of the nobility despite being a commoner with no divine powers. Does that mean we have to make it known internationally that the first discoverer is a citizen of the Reich? Yes, he said. But I hope some unwary sailor hears about it and doesn't go out to sea and get lost. You have to be perfectly well-nourished, and with Pharma's advice and Admiral Jean's experience, you could have made this voyage, couldn't you? Ellen emphasizes the importance of Pharma's advice. Ellen emphasized the importance of Pharma's advice. Yeah, it's not safe for ordinary sailors to go on a voyage with ordinary preparation. That too. Pharma was worried about that too, but she had other concerns. After Admiral Jean's triumphant return, he flew to the continent with his medicine stick to see if the new continent was truly uninhabited, and he got a bird's-eye view of the continent from space. He found that the new continent, although different in shape, straddled the northern and southern hemispheres like the Americas with a spine-like chain of high mountain ranges. There was an unnaturally open area on the plains that I found by chance. And it seemed that at least on the west coast side, the indigenous people had established a small-scale agricultural civilization. Admiral Jean reached the east coast, which may have appeared uninhabited, but in fact it was not. From a distance the people looked Asian and Mongoloid, and their clothing culture was reminiscent of a jumble of Chinese, Tibetan, and that of American natives from the north and south. Pharma was depressed to think that the empire of St. Fleuve and other countries would threaten the natives' way of life. Being a vast continent, there would be many resources to be discovered. I wonder if the history of invasions will repeat itself. No matter how many international treaties prohibit invasion. As long as there are resources in land, there will always be plunderers and pirates, and not all countries are rich enough to adhere to international treaties. Even if a country secretly starts an invasion, it will be at the end of the ocean. Even if they did start a secret invasion, it would be at the end of the ocean, not even within range of a carrier pigeon, and there would be no easy way to confirm it. Maybe we shouldn't have announced it. Oh, why not? It's not something to be celebrated. As a citizen of the empire, I am proud of the discovery of a new continent. If it weren't for the natives. The tone of Pharma's voice, which at first seemed to be congratulatory, was dark. If anything, he felt responsible for his own actions. It was Pharma who said that Admiral Jean was worried. I always wonder what the end of the world is like, so he said this land was on a round sphere. Although the advice was intended to help him navigate, it ended up giving Admiral Jean a hint about the westward route. I hope that human and material exchanges between continents will be mutually beneficial. Pharma hoped that not only one side would benefit but that no one would be oppressed or plundered. But we can't afford to be complacent. The only thing I can do is to talk to the empress. And if it looks like it's going to be disastrous, I'll have to make a preemptive takeover of the native settlements and move to protect both my country and others so that they won't touch them. With my current financial resources, I can handle it, and if push comes to shove, I can pay for it. I wonder if the Empress will cooperate with us. She may look like a pacifist, but she's a pacifist. I began to consider such a thing. Master Pharma is looking difficult again. Lot looked at him anxiously with her fingers crossed. I wonder what's troubling him more this time. Ellen said the usual and lifted her glasses. Don't look so grim, she said. Let's just enjoy the market. Shopping will take your mind off things. In the sweltering heat, the annual St. Fleuve market is being held in the capital. The number of registered street vendors and peddlers has increased since last year, and medicine brokers and senior apothecaries have gathered in particularly large numbers. The smell of spices is in the air. It's time for a curry party, Pharma remembers. Where do you two want to go to sell? I'm thinking herbal medicines. And frames and lenses for glasses because they are essentials. Ellen's words made Pharma almost burst into laughter, but she did her best to suppress it. I'm going to have to buy a lot of glasses. What is it? I should have asked Viceroy Melody for a pair of unbreakable glasses a while ago. The Vicomte is very busy. The frequency of Ellen breaking or dropping her glasses is not decreasing, and Pharma is worried about the future. They come off because of the shallow angle of the vines and the lack of a nosepiece. Pharma would like to improve Ellen's glasses, but she always refuses to wear them because she says they are not fashionable, so she thinks they are part of her face even if they do break. Lot is a candy, right? Yes, I heard a rumor about a rare candy. Let's all eat them later. Lot is already clutching a large shopping bag. It seems that she intends to buy a lot. She is very enthusiastic. Well, we don't have much time left, so let's all go and see what we want to see. After the break, let's go back to the pharmacy. After separating from Ellen and Lot, Pharma uses the map of the stalls she had checked in advance to buy all the high-quality paper she needs to write on. High-quality filter paper and ink are only available at this big market. We bought a lot. I'll stock up on curry ingredients tomorrow. The smell will be on the paper. Last year, the aroma of the spices was soaked into the high-quality paper, and it was a pity for a while. As Pharma was walking with a big baggage, she bumped into Lot, who said, "Oh, you're not in front of the candy shop." "Oh, I see you're not in front of the sweets shop." Lot was unusually crouched down, looking at a stall that was not a sweets store. "Look, mister. Pharma is an animal shop." Underneath the large tent was a merchant store selling pet animals. It looked like a pet store, with pet dogs, cats, parrots, and parakeets. There were no pet stores last year, he said. Because of the Black Death epidemic, animal dealers were banned from operating last year, but apparently they are selling this year. There was a small wooden enclosure on the property, and dogs were displayed in a dog run. There was a wide variety of poodles, terriers, papillons, and Great Pyrenees. Cats varied from Persian cats to mongrels to Bengals. In the bird cage, colorful parrots and parakeets were perched on perches and chirping. The doggies are adorable. It was only after coming here that Pharma learned that Lot was a dog person. I've been looking at them all day because they're so cute and cuddly. She was fascinated by the poodle and papillon puppies that were licking Lot's hands. Puppies are cute, aren't they? Lot is cute too. It's murderously cute, and Pharma can understand Lot's feelings. Lot is cute too, though. Pharma realized that Lot looks like a puppy too. Oh, her eyes, my puppy's eyes, aren't they saying, "Take him home"? It's just my imagination. If you like him so much, I'd like to keep him. The de Medici's family has a horse for riding. Other animals, such as cows for milking, goats and ducks, are kept in a shed away from the house. Dogs, cats, and other pets are not allowed on the property, and Bruno does not allow them near the mansion for sanitary reasons. It's okay, Mr. Pharma. The de Medicis are a family of apothecaries, and we don't want them shedding their hair and cluttering up the mansion, and I can't say I want them very, very much. The servants were meticulous about cleaning Bruno's house because of his fastidiousness. The servants were very meticulous about cleaning up after Bruno since he was so fastidious about keeping clean. But they are so cute, these animals, they are so soothing. I see. Then, when you're done, go back to the pharmacy. Pharma got up and decided to go back to the pharmacy first. But Lot grabbed the hem of Pharma's coat. She said, "Oh, wait, Miss Pharma. There's a girl who hasn't been well since a while ago. I was wondering about her." Lot pointed her finger, and Pharma looked at the puppy in the kennel in the back, who seemed to be limping. The owner of the pet store, who was watching the exchange, replies in a disingenuous manner. "Oh, it's her, isn't it? I just called the vet, don't worry." "I see, that's a relief." Lot nodded reassuringly. "Oh, the veterinarian is here." The owner of the store, who had arrived just in time, went out to the front of the store to greet the veterinarian who had just arrived. The woman who appeared to be the veterinarian was still young, petted, but a beautiful woman doctor with a clean-cut impression. She wore a horseshoe-shaped first-class veterinarian's badge on her chest. Pharma was also looking at her and our eyes bumped into each other. Immediately, her complexion changed. "Huh, Professor? You must be Professor Pharma de Medicis. Geez, what should I do?" She seemed surprised to run into Pharma. Then her cheeks flushed. What? I don't know, Pharma." Lot also nodded her head. "I am Josephine Barrier, a veterinarian. It is an honor to meet you here, Professor. Do I know you from somewhere?" Many call Pharma a child shopkeeper, but no one calls him a professor. "I'd only know you unilaterally from your portrait on the university's bulletin board." "That means..." Pharma was perked up. "I will be a new student at the Imperial College of Medicine next month." "You mean you are a veterinarian and you also want to become a pharmacist for human patients?" Pharma was impressed by her enthusiasm for learning and her vitality. "Yes, I want to learn pharmacy from scratch. Yes, I want to learn pharmacy from scratch. I thought I could handle not only human but also animal medicine, and above all, I took the exam to attend Professor Medici's lectures. I'm taking the exam because I wanted to take a class with Professor Medici's. I'd like to take the exam because I wanted to learn about animal medicine as well as human medicine." "Are you about to examine this dog? If so, I'd like to observe." "Yes, I'm a little nervous in front of the professor." "Master Pharma, it looks like you are enjoying meeting your new student." Even Lot is excited. As she prepared the examination tools, she confided her gratitude to Pharma. "Thanks to the microscope, which Professor Pharma is credited with inventing, we now have more tests we can perform as veterinarians. I also hear that he is developing a number of groundbreaking new drugs. Professor Pharma is a mentor that I admire." Ha ha. Josephine seems to know that Pharma is the inventor of the microscope. Pharma is tickled. Then she picks up her medical wand and begins to examine the patient. She then picks up her cane and begins to examine the animal. "You have diarrhea, you have a bad coat, and you look very weak. Excuse me, I'm going to have a look at your bottom. Oh, it's a case of worming." Josephine looked at the dog's bottom and saw what looked like white grains of rice on the anus. It was a body part of a parasite, a striated worm. Maybe he was weak to begin with, and the parasite itself doesn't do much harm, so we'll just keep him under observation. I will give the puppy some nutritional supplements, so please give him those." "I see, that's a relief." When the owner tried to pay her a gratuity, Josephine did not accept it. "I have a diagnosis and a plan of treatment." Josephine looked back at Pharma and asked for guidance. Pharma also approached the dog. "As you can see," she said, "it's canine tapeworm. It is good that you are trying to nourish him because he is malnourished. However, it can be transmitted to humans, and if the dog is heavily infected, it will be very weak, so we will use an anthelmintic. Urizon striped tapeworm. Urizon striped tapeworm is a member of the tapeworm family. The head is attached to the intestinal tract by suckers and hooks, and the tail, which contains eggs, is gradually torn off and comes out through the anus. The head is torn off by suckers and hooks, and the tail, which contains the eggs, is torn off little by little and comes out of the anus. Is it a laxative? Or should I use wormwood? Josephine seems to be prepared for this and takes a bottle of the anthelmintic from her medical bag. It is an herb that has been used as an anthelmintic, but it is effective against roundworms but not against striped worms. Thelma pretends to rummage around in her bag and creates a substance creation of praziquantel, which is also effective against tapeworms inside the package. It's praziquantel, a drug that paralyzes the striped worms. Mix it in with the food and give it to him once. He explains to the shopkeeper in detail how to give it to her. Josephine nodded and took notes. She nodded and took notes. Also, make sure you get rid of the fleas, or they will infect you again through the fleas. Herbs that kill fleas? Then I'll prescribe mint and lavender perfume oil to apply to the fur. I will also apply a purification technique to the surrounding area. Josephine's quick and efficient judgment caught Pharma's attention. Localized purification. Josephine seemed to be a wind diviner. Thank you for your guidance, Professor. Josephine shook hands with Pharma. Then we'll see you at the university. It was a scene that made Thelma think that she might not have to solve everything with modern medicine. Later, Lot still bought all the cakes, and Ellen stocked up on glasses so that she could sell them. A few days later, Pharma, who had seen the effects of the deworming medicine, and Lot wandered to work at the palace, and an aide came to call Lot saying that the Empress was waiting for her. Her Majesty says it is urgent. Is it a commission for a work of art? Since she didn't say that she only wanted to see Lot, Pharma also followed her without any hesitation. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Your Majesty. Charlotte Sorel is here. The Empress, who was relaxing on a bench in the palace garden, turned around and looked back at Lot as if she had been waiting for her. She was waiting for him. Look, a cat and a dog. A cat and a dog, Charlotte. The Empress had released tigers, the lions, wolves, and other ferocious beasts of prey in her spacious garden, and they followed her like cats and dogs. If you look closely, you can see several birds of prey perched on the benches as well. Just now I was letting a wolf with a magnificent coat fetch a ball for me like a dog. Go ahead and play with them. I overheard you wanting to touch a lovely cat and dog. Where did you get that from, Your Majesty? Where did you get that from, Your Majesty? And why are you always talking about ravenous beasts? Where did you overhear that, Your Majesty? And why all the wild beasts? Cute dogs and cats, where can I find them, Master Pharma? They are not like the cats and dogs I know. Lions and tigers are cats, and wolves are the ancestors of dogs. I guess I'll leave it to Lot's sensibilities to decide if they're cute or not. The gap between the Empress's view of pets and the common people's sensibilities is nothing short of bold. The beasts of prey seem to know exactly who the boss is and are as docile as borrowed cats and dogs. Thelma was frightened, thinking that the queen must have trained them by divine art. Don't be shy, it's a very sophisticated move on my part, she said. You may allow her to walk through the ring of fire. It seemed to be the Empress' way of providing Lot with a benefit. Yes. I would be honored, Your Majesty. Lot's blood was running cold. You are the king of all beasts, Your Majesty. If there's one thing Thelma can advise Lot, it's don't lose your hands when you touch each other, Lot. No, please don't. If you ever want to touch an animal, you can always tell me in the future. For Lot's safety, Pharma thought it would be better for her to ask Bruno for permission to keep a small pet.